A single Hail Mary, a simple whisper of love rising from the heart, and heaven leans down. The Hail Mary is one of the most powerful weapons God has placed in the hands of his children. So simple on the lips, so immense in reach. When we say, Hail Mary, we're not just repeating ancient words. We're entering an eternal mystery. We're echoing the greeting brought directly from the throne of God by the angel himself. We're letting resound on earth the melody that changed the course of history. Now imagine, if one Hail Mary can touch the heart of God, what happens when we pray 1,000? 1,000 Hail Marys, 1,000 pleas, 1,000 acts of love to the Mother of God, 1,000 kisses of the soul, 1,000 cries of faith, 1,000 embraces of trust. The devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys is not a common practice. It's an outpouring of love, a silent construction of a spiritual ladder connecting earth and heaven. To many, it might seem excessive. It might sound like too much. But for those who love, nothing is ever too much. When a child truly loves, he doesn't calculate the words of affection for his mother. He doesn't count the hugs. He doesn't measure the gestures. Such is the soul that embraces the devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys, not out of obligation, but out of love, not to impress, but to give thanks, not to display faith, but to warm the heart in the fire of Marian love. In this video, we will journey through the history of this beautiful devotion. We'll discover its origins, how it spread, and why so many saints embraced it with joy. We'll hear the echoes of ancient voices, fathers of the Church, saints, and mystics who uncovered the hidden power in every Hail Mary. And in the end, you will understand, this is not about mechanical repetition. It's about wrapping your soul in a mantle of love, in a breath of trust, in a surrender that draws down unimaginable graces. Because for one who loves Mary, praying 1,000 Hail Marys is not a burden. It's a celebration of praise, a celebration of faith, a celebration that invisibly transforms the soul, enlightens the life, and moves the heart of God. Get ready to discover how something so simple can open the doors to miracles, conversions, healings, and a deep friendship with the Queen of Heaven. The great devotions of the Church are not born of human invention. They rise from hearts that love. They spring from the meeting point between living faith and a burning desire to please God and His Mother. So it was with the devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys. Its exact origin is wrapped in gentle mystery. There is no single founder, no precise date inscribed in the official history books. But there is an invisible thread that connects hearts, centuries, and saints. The desire to console Mary and to honor her in a grand and profound way. The earliest known records of this practice come from medieval spirituality, especially among the Franciscans, simple men passionately in love with God, who found in the loving repetition of the Hail Mary a way to remain in a state of continual prayer. The Franciscans, followers of Saint Francis of Assisi, became powerful promoters of intense Marian prayer practices. For them, love for Mary was not just one devotion among many. It was the beating heart of their spiritual life. One rosary was not enough. A single litany did not satisfy the soul. They longed to go deeper, linger longer, offer more. Like a child who wants to stay in his mother's arms for hours. Unhurried, unafraid of loving too much. Little by little, the practice of praying dozens, hundreds, and eventually 1,000 Hail Marys emerged, offered on special occasions or as acts of reparation and intercession. In some communities, the 1,000 Hail Marys were prayed before the Blessed Sacrament. In others, during Marian vigils, especially on the eve of great feasts, like the Immaculate Conception or the Annunciation. The spirit behind this devotion was never about formality. It was never a race against time. It was, and still is, an act of pure, gratuitous love, a gift made of simple words filled with deep faith. And it is beautiful to see that, even without elaborate organization, without promotions or human strategies, this devotion spread silently, from heart to heart, from generation to generation. Wherever there is love for Mary, the soul instinctively knows that 1,000 Hail Marys are not too much, that 1,000 pleas are not wearisome, that 1,000 gestures of affection still feel like too little. In this video, we'll come to understand that the 1,000 Hail Marys devotion was never a command. It was a response, the response of a heart so in love it cannot help but overflow. And so, like a flame passed from candle to candle, this devotion made its way into monasteries, into humble homes, into hidden hearts. And today, it reaches us, inviting us to dive into this ocean of grace. Because those who truly love Mary always long to give her more. When we think of Saint Francis of Assisi, we often picture simplicity, poverty, and love for all creation. But there's something even deeper at the core of his life, a burning love for Mary. Saint Francis did not see Our Lady merely as the mother of Jesus. He saw her as his mother, as the queen of the order he was founding, as the perfect model for all who desired to live totally for God. Francis never tired of exalting her. He called her the tabernacle of God, the most holy lady, the palace of the Holy Spirit. In his writings and in the rule he gave to his brothers, Francis always insisted that they have a special and profound devotion to Mary, that they honor her name and turn to her in every need, and not just in words, but in concrete acts of prayer, praise, and surrender. That's how, among the first Franciscans, intense Marian prayer practices began to flourish. Long hours of Hail Marys, extended vigils in front of her image, quiet moments of deep, heartfelt veneration. They understood. Every Hail Mary was a new embrace offered to the Mother. Every repetition, a fresh breath of love. St. Francis believed that in true love, no effort is ever too much. Those who love want to be close. They want to express what they feel 1,000 times over, never fearing that it's too much. And so, the Franciscan spirit laid the foundation for devotions like the 1,000 Hail Marys, not as a burden, not as a heavy ritual, but as a celebration of the heart. To pray much to Mary, for Francis and his brothers, was like spending hours in conversation with the most tender of mothers. It was like climbing the stairs to heaven, step by step, driven only by the desire to love more deeply. Francis also taught his brothers to praise Mary as the masterpiece of creation, the most beautiful flower of humanity, the secure bridge between heaven and earth. And over the centuries, the sons of Francis have kept that flame alive, multiplying prayers, spreading devotion to the Rosary, and inspiring practices like the 1,000 Hail Marys, which continue to echo the limitless love that overflowed from the heart of the poor man of Assisi. In this video, we'll come to understand that devotion to Mary for St. Francis was not an optional extra to faith. It was the heart of the faith lived in love. And we'll see that to walk this path, it's not enough to know who Mary is. You have to love her. You have to praise her. You have to enter into her presence as one who throws himself into the arms of a mother. Because the true Franciscan and the true Christian doesn't measure prayers. He measures love. Among the great apostles of the name of Mary, one stands out with extraordinary brilliance, Saint Bernardine of Siena. This 15th century Franciscan saint didn't just love Mary. He proclaimed her. He carried with him a small tablet inscribed with the names of Jesus and Mary in golden letters. During his fiery sermons, he would lift this tablet high to bless the faithful and remind them of the power carried in these most sacred names. Saint Bernardine understood something profound. There is power in the name of Mary. There is protection. There is consolation. There is victory, he declared with conviction. The name of Mary is joy to the heart, honey to the lips, music to the ear. With this burning love, Saint Bernardine encouraged the faithful to lovingly repeat the name of Mary. Simple prayers, yes, but set ablaze with the fire of devotion. In the regions touched by his preaching, it became common for believers to offer countless invocations to Mary. multiplying Hail Marys like spiritual flowers, offered to the Queen of Heaven. It was in this spiritual atmosphere that the devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys found fertile ground to grow. Inspired by his zeal, many began to organize extended times of prayer, in which the name of Mary was repeated with reverence, with faith, with love. It was never about numbers. It was about loving persistence, a heart that, aware of its weakness, clung to the name of its mother as to a safe and unshakable anchor. Saint Bernardine taught that the name of Mary is terror to demons, that when spoken in faith, it drives away temptation, brings peace to the soul, and renews the strength of the weary. How many desperate souls have found refuge simply by whispering her name? And how many graces have been poured out upon those who, with faith and perseverance, surrendered themselves to loving, repeated prayer? In this video, we'll understand that the devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys is not just a long sequence of words. It's a river of love that flows around the sweetest name after Jesus, Mary. To repeat 1,000 times the angel's greeting, to call upon the Mother 1,000 times by name, is to place ourselves beneath her mantle of grace, amid a storm of silent blessings. Saint Bernardine teaches us, the power is not in the cold quantity, but in the intensity of love, in the purity of trust, and hope without measure. And whoever takes refuge in the name of Mary will never be lost, because in her name, there is light, there is strength, there is salvation. To understand the practice of the 1,000 Hail Marys more deeply, we must look at the prayer that shaped generations of saints, the Holy Rosary. The Rosary, in itself, is a school of perseverance in prayer. It is a path of loving repetition that does not exhaust the heart. It calms it, strengthens it, lifts it up. Each Hail Mary in the Rosary is not just a string of words. It is a precious gem placed in the hands of the Mother. It is a breath of faith woven into the mysteries of Christ's life. Since its earliest propagation, especially through Saint Dominic and the Order of Preachers, the Rosary has been presented as a powerful weapon against evil, a safe refuge for sinners, a ladder leading to the heart of God. And through the daily praying of the Rosary, Christian hearts gradually came to understand there is no excess when it comes to love. Repetition is not coldness. It is a fire that burns without going out. If the Rosary, with its 50, 100, or 150 Hail Marys, could transform souls and change the course of battles, why not offer even more? It was in this spirit that the practice of the 1,000 Hail Marys was born and began to spread, not as a competition of numbers, but as an overflow of the love already cultivated through the Rosary. Just as the Rosary leads the soul by Mary's hand, the 1,000 Hail Marys are like a silent procession, 1,000 steps toward the Mother's heart. Each decade, each hundred, is like a candle lit within the soul's temple. It is like a rose petal laid at the feet of the Queen of Heaven. And the saints, who always cherished the Rosary, never saw anything excessive about expanding this practice for special moments, for greater needs, for deep intentions. Praying a lot was never seen as a burden. It was always seen as an honor. And inspired by the Rosary, the faithful learned that loving repetition transforms the heart, trains the mind in contemplation, and teaches the soul to persevere when faith is tested. In this video, we will understand that the connection between the Rosary and the 1,000 Hail Marys is not merely historical, it is spiritual. Both are expressions of the same love, of the same desire to be with Mary, to walk with her, to breathe with her the mysteries of God's love. And whoever learns to pray with Mary also learns to conquer with her. In every true devotion, God leaves his signs, not so that we pray only for miracles, but so that we understand he hears every act of love. And with the devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys, it has been no different. Throughout the centuries, thousands of the faithful have reported extraordinary graces obtained through this practice. Unexpected healings, deep conversions, impossible reconciliations, victories over temptation, and even material miracles in moments of despair. In many monasteries, ancient records testify that, at the end of 1,000 Hail Mary prayer vigils, requests that seemed impossible were granted through divine generosity. People gravely ill with no hope, suddenly healed, broken families restored, souls far from God, quietly and powerfully touched by grace. There are accounts of saints and religious who, after completing the 1,000 Hail Marys, experienced such profound interior peace that they understood they had been visited by the help of the Mother of God. And it's not hard to understand why. Each Hail Mary is a rose offered to the Queen of Heaven. Each word said in faith is like a drop of perfume that rises to God's throne. And whoever offers 1,000 roses, whoever pours out 1,000 drops of faith, does not go unnoticed by the tenderness of the Mother. But it's important to remember, miracles are not the main goal of this devotion. They are consequences, unexpected gifts from a love that overflows. The true fruit of the 1,000 Hail Marys is the transformation of the heart. It's the healing of the soul. It's the conversion within, even if the world outside remains silent. Because to pray 1,000 Hail Marys is more than asking. It is loving. It is spending hours in the hands of Mary. It is learning to trust without demanding. It is placing everything in the hands of the Mother and saying, "Let be done unto me according to your will." In this video, we will discover that the miracles attributed to the 1,000 Hail Marys are not just ancient stories. They still happen today. They blossom where faith is alive, where love perseveres, where the heart opens to trust without limits. And we'll come to understand that for those who love Mary, the greatest miracle of all is realizing that even without extraordinary signs, the soul has found shelter, the soul has found peace, the soul has found the Mother, and that in itself is already 1,000 times more than we deserve. If there's one thing that all the saints learned and taught, it's this: in the spiritual life, victory doesn't belong to the fastest. It belongs to the most persevering. True prayer is not measured by the excitement at the beginning, but by the faithfulness that endures over time. And this is revealed in a special way through the devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys. To pray the same greeting 1,000 times requires more than initial fervor. It requires consistency. It requires love that withstands fatigue. It requires faith that pushes through the temptation to give up. And it is precisely there that this devotion finds its greatest value. Saint Alphonsus Liguori, Doctor of the Church, taught, "Perseverance is the greatest sign of predestination." In other words, whoever remains faithful in prayer, even when they feel nothing, even when there are no visible fruits, is already walking safely on the path of salvation. Saint Therese of Lisieux, though she experienced deep dryness in prayer for years, never abandoned her simple, persevering devotion. She once said, "Prayer is a surge of the heart. It's not about cold repetition. It's about remaining in love, even when the soul feels dry." And this is what the 1,000 Hail Marys are all about. Each Hail Mary is like a small flame lit, a tiny flower offered, a gentle step toward God, even when your soul feels tired. The saints show us that God does not measure our prayer by its grandeur, but by the faithfulness of our heart, a soul that, even in spiritual dryness, kneels down to repeat 1,000 times its love and trust in Mary, deeply pleases the heart of God. It is like a child who, though weary, remains in its mother's arms, not to get anything in return, but simply because there it is safe. In this video, we'll go deeper into this truth, that the 1,000 Hail Marys are a school of perseverance, a school where we learn to love without demanding rewards, to trust without visible signs, to pray even when praying feels difficult. And those who persevere receive more than they ask for. They receive the shaping of a strong heart. They receive the grace to grow in love. They receive the faithful company of Mary, who never abandons those who remain close to her. Because, in the end, is not about praying a lot in one single day. It's about remaining. It's about loving until the last step. It's about, even through tears and exhaustion, still whispering, Hail Mary. When we hear about praying 1,000 Hail Marys, our first reaction might be one of surprise. Is it even possible? Could I do that? But the truth is, this devotion, more than difficult, is beautiful. And when done with love, it becomes a profound experience of encounter with God through Mary. Traditionally, the 1,000 Hail Marys are organized in a simple way, so that the journey feels light, meaningful, and spiritually enriching. Usually, the whole prayer is divided into 20 groups of 50 Hail Marys. Each group is prayed like a small rosary, allowing for gentle pauses for reflection, spiritual breathing, and to avoid mental fatigue. These pauses are moments of recollection. They can include brief silence, a short reading of a mystery from the life of Jesus and Mary, or simply a loving glance toward the Mother of Heaven. Many faithful, especially in religious communities, pray the 1,000 Hail Marys throughout the day. 50 in the morning, 50 at midday, 50 in the afternoon, 50 at night, and little by little, the soul weaves a mantle of prayer. Others prefer to dedicate a special time of retreat, a full day or night set aside in solitude or small groups, creating a space of reflection, penitence, and love. In some traditions, each 100 Hail Marys is offered for a different intention. For the church, for priests, for families, for sinners, for the sick, for the souls in purgatory. In this way, the devotion becomes even richer. Not just a personal petition, but a great act of spiritual charity. There is no rigid formula. What matters most is the intention of the heart. To pray with love, without haste, without anxiety, knowing that each Hail Mary is a pearl offered to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. It is also common to begin the 1,000 Hail Marys with a prayer of surrender, consecrating oneself and all the time of prayer to Our Lady, and to end it with a sincere act of thanksgiving, entrusting all intentions, and humbly accepting whatever answer God gives through Mary. In this video, we'll show that praying 1,000 Hail Marys is not a heavy task reserved for mystics. It is a gift of love accessible to all. Children, youth, adults, the elderly. Those who love Mary do not count prayers. They count heartbeats. And with each Hail Mary, heaven draws near, the soul is illuminated, and love grows stronger. To say, Hail Mary 1,000 times, is to open the door of the heart 1,000 times, so that God may enter and transform everything. Throughout the history of the Church, God has always generously rewarded those who, out of love, dedicate themselves to honoring His Mother. And with the practice of the 1,000 Hail Marys, it is no different, although there is no official list of formally recognized promises. As there is with the Rosary, there exists a living spiritual tradition that spans centuries, a tradition of abundant graces granted to those who embrace this devotion with faith and perseverance. So what are these graces? First and foremost, inner transformation. 1,000 Hail Marys prayed with love never go unnoticed in heaven. The soul that devotes itself to this prayer experiences a deepening of faith, an increase in love for God, and a renewed strength to resist temptation. In addition, many testimonies speak of special protections, deliverance from danger, healing from illnesses, resolution of seemingly impossible situations, family reconciliations. It's as if Mary, moved by the loving persistence of her children, hastens the flow of grace, according to God's will. Saints and mystics like Saint Alphonsus Liguori have long taught that persevering prayer to Mary is a sure path to obtain help in any need. And the practice of the 1,000 Hail Marys is a powerful example of such persevering trust. Another grace often attributed to this devotion is a grace of interior purity, a kind of cleansing of the soul, a purification of thoughts, a refining of the heart's desires. Saying Hail Mary 1,000 times is like saying 1,000 times, Mother, purify me, shape me, lead me to your Son. Another precious fruit is growth and hope. In times of trial, in the dark nights of the soul, those who persevere in this prayer find new light, new trust, new courage to move forward. In this video, we'll understand that, more than material graces, the practice of the 1,000 Hail Marys brings eternal fruits, a deeper friendship with the Mother of God, a more intimate union with the heart of Christ, and a silent preparation for the joys of heaven. Because each Hail Mary is a brick laid in the building of eternity. Each prayer is one more step toward the promised glory. And Mary, like every good mother, lets no effort go unrewarded, even the smallest prayer made with love. She welcomes, treasures, and transforms into blessing. Whoever honors her with 1,000 greetings will be remembered 1,000 times in her heart. And when the eternal gates finally open, there will be a mother waiting and 1,000 reasons to smile, 1,000 times calling upon her, 1,000 times trusting in her love, 1,000 times opening the heart and saying, Hail Mary. The devotion of the 1,000 Hail Marys is not just a pious practice. It is a school of love, a path of perseverance, a bridge built of prayer between our fragility and heaven's strength. Today, more than ever, in the midst of so much noise, so much exhaustion, so many distractions, Mary invites us to something different. She calls us to dive into the silence of prayer, to build a fortress of faith made of Hail Marys, to experience what happens when the soul surrenders without measuring, without counting, without fear. In this video, you discovered that every Hail Mary is a key, that each prayer, when repeated with love, opens invisible doors of grace and hope, and that, at the end of the journey, when all the words have been spoken, when all the Hail Marys have been prayed, what remains is not fatigue, but certainty. Mary was listening. 1,000 requests, 1,000 pleas, 1,000 responses of love, given in the perfect time and way of God's heart. Let us not be afraid to love without limits, to trust without reservations, to repeat as many times as needed, Hail Mary, because those who trust in the Mother never walk alone.